One late summer evening, Mia is out with her friends. And then she suddenly sees him. He looks at her and comes over. His name is Ben. Ben is incredibly good looking and charming as hell. They hit it off immediately. Mia feels like they've known each other forever. They exchange numbers and soon they have their first official date. It feels like a dream come true to Mia. This man could have anyone, but he chose her. Very quick, he gives his key to her, to his apartment, and asks her to be exclusive. He's interested in everything she has to say, is attentive and humorous. Mia has never heard a man talking to her that way before. Let's jump together in this love story. On a long-planned weekend, Mia heads into a getaway with her friends for 2 nights. The lovebirds text each other the whole time. Ben wants to know everything she does. She sends him pictures of the market, the lake, and the hotel room. In the early evening, she receives a message from Ben saying, "Hey babe, don't overdo it tonight. Be my good girl. Don't go home too late. I don't want to worry. You're mine now, remember. I miss you." Followed by a lot of red hearts. A little irritated, Mia writes back, "Don't worry, honey. I'm tired anyway. It won't be too late. Miss you too." Mia leaves the restaurant with her friends at 10 p.m. They have laughed a lot and the food was delicious. Suddenly, she realizes that she must have had no service. Her mobile shows 46 new messages and 12 unanswered calls, all from Ben. He starts, "Hey honey, are you home yet? Get in touch." 5 minutes later, "Hello, Mia, I'm worried. Please call me." Then 3 unanswered calls. The texts get angrier and more intense. "Why the hell aren't you calling me? You dare ignore me?" Mia cannot believe her eyes. Her chest is pounding like crazy. He writes, "If I were you, I would show some respect. Call me or you will regret it." The texts go on like this. Mia is completely overwhelmed and shaking. She dials her boyfriend's number. He picks up immediately and he's beside himself with rage. She tries to reassure him and apologizes 1,000 times, but he insults her and accuses her. Mia cries and begs him to believe that she was only with her friends. She would never cheat on him. What's going on? When he finally calms down, he opens up and explains to her that he was cheated on in the past. Now Mia feels bad and guilty for not calling him back right away. She wants to show him that she's serious about their relationship. And still on the phone, she decides to cancel the second night with her friends and travel home the next day. Ben is really grateful to her. Back home, the bell rings, and Mia nervously opens up her front door. Ben is standing there with flowers in his hands. He seems crushed. He comes in and hugs her carefully. They sit on the couch and begin to talk. Ben is truly sorry and really ashamed about his own behavior. "Mia, I promise you, I will never be like that to you again." Mia feels relieved. The longer they talk, the more she can feel the butterflies again. He smiles at her and they kiss. They make up. Everything is good again. He can trust her now. This or something similar is how stories of domestic violence begin. It doesn't start with beatings, but with falling in love. If Ben works on himself now and learns to get a grip on his toxic jealousy, then they do have a chance of having a healthy relationship. If not, they've now just completed the first round in the so-called cycle of violence. My name is Rahel Ott. I am a criminologist and I've been an expert in this field for 10 years. I am co-responsible for the Intervention Center Against Domestic Violence, a professionally independent unit within the Zurich Cantonal Police. In this function, I manage and coordinate the interdisciplinary cooperation on the topics of domestic violence, stalking, and violence against women. We work closely with victim advisory offices, shelters, the police, child protection authorities, addiction specialists, offender counseling, and many more. But now, let's go back to the cycle of violence that I've mentioned before. It starts, I want you to remember about the three main phases of it. It starts with the so-called honeymoon phase. Everything feels wonderful and calm. And then the cycle begins to turn into a phase of tension building. During this second phase, many behaviors can be observed that we would give a red flag to. The victim is insulted, made to be insecure or devalued. And the offender tries to exert control and power over the victim, just like Ben did with his many text messages. Third phase. The tension discharges in acute violence. This can be physical attacks or intense forms of verbal violence, such as Ben's insults, threats, and shouts. After the outbreak of violence, some victims leave their partner. They may or may not call the police. When the situation has calmed down a little, something very characteristic happens. The offender apologizes and promises it won't happen again. Ben justified his behavior with his bad experiences, and Mia felt guilty for not calling him back right away. He felt truly sorry and brought her flowers, and Mia, she forgave him. She wanted to believe him. At this point, they just went back straight towards honeymoon phase. And so the cycle turns on and on. It turns relentlessly through the next round. And so the cycle turns relentlessly through the next round. It goes on and on. The speed from one violent event to the next increases, and the violence becomes more intense. One night, Ben slaps Mia in her face for the first time. She feels really ashamed. She's a well-educated woman, and she was always independent and confident in the past. How could she get into this situation? Now she feels insecure, frightened, and under his total control. And yet, still, she can't manage to leave Ben. The more time passes, the further away the possibility of separating seems to her. Mia is not an exception. Domestic violence happens everywhere, not just here in Switzerland, but all over the world. It happens to all age groups, to all social classes, to all nationalities, and to all genders. Not just to women, but also to men, non-binary victims. And it happens daily. Here in the canton of Zurich, the police are called out 20 times a day in cases of domestic violence and family disputes. Studies show that every third to fifth woman in Switzerland is affected of violence from their partner at some point in their life. Leaving Ben could be dangerous for Mia. Here in Switzerland, every second week, one person dies because of domestic violence. And the main motives are jealousy, and the victim's intention to leave. It's crucial to me that the following is understood. Mia and Ben both are caught in this cycle of violence. It will be anything but easy to get out of it. Especially getting out on their own is very difficult. They will need external help, and this is where you come in. I will show you 3 steps you could take to help them. Let's focus on supporting victims like Mia. Step 1, get information. Learn more about domestic violence and toxic relationships. Look for victim advisory centers. I know they do a great job. They will advise Mia, but also persons like you who want to support someone without involving the police. Their help is free of charge, confidential, and anonymous if you wish. They will show Mia what she can do to stay safe. They will give her emergency numbers and information about victims' rights and protection. They will support her with the next steps. For example, find a new place to live or arrange for psychological help. They will clarify with her if she wants to file in a complaint with the police and explain the consequences of a criminal proceeding. Step 2, break the silence. That's so important. Domestic violence is not a private matter. Have the courage to speak to Mia. But how can you talk to her about domestic violence? How do you start? Perhaps this is the biggest challenge for you. So, first of all, only address her alone and pay attention to your safety. Don't confront Ben as the offender. You could start with, "Hey, how are you doing? You seem sad. Did you have a fight with Ben?" Tell her you're concerned and name what you've observed. "I see the bruise on your wrist. What happened? Do you want to talk about it? I am concerned." Or if she shows you an angry text message from Ben, you could say, "Okay, I understand, he's very angry. How does that make you feel? There seems a lot of pressure on your shoulders." Or if you are the neighbor of Mia, you could say, "I heard you arguing last night. How are you? Can I support you?" Take the time to listen and say to her, "I believe you. It's not okay what happened. You don't deserve to be hurt. I am here for you. How can I support you?" Step 3, tell Mia about victim advisory offices. It's important to listen to Mia and be there for her, but it's also very important to recognize your own limits. You cannot solve Mia's problems for her, but you can refer her to professional victim support. Do this as soon as possible. It will also take the pressure off your shoulders. Physically give her a phone number of victim advisory in her hands or store it directly in her mobile. You could also offer to make the call together. If this seems too much for Mia, then show her a web page with further information, with addresses. Mia might not go to victim support as soon as you tell her about it. Stay in touch and be patient. Don't expect quick solutions. Victims usually try to leave 4 to 5 times until they succeed. So don't expect that she leaves Ben immediately. Remember, Mia is caught in the cycle of violence. Your biggest chance of Mia accepting your help is when the violence just happened. Maybe the cycle of violence will continue. Maybe she still doesn't want to involve the police. She needs you now to stay by her side and to believe her. Maybe you're wondering when you should call the police. Well, there are situations they can get very frightening. Listen to your gut feeling. If it tells you that something bad is about to happen, call the police emergency number. Here in Switzerland, it's 117. When they are called, the police will come over and question Mia and Ben separately. The police officers are sensitized. They clarify whether there is a need for protection measures, such as sending Ben away from the shared home or banning him from contacting Mia. Such measures interrupt the cycle of violence immediately and provide Mia with some time to think about her next steps. Domestic violence is a major problem in our society. Not just here in Switzerland, but all over the world. There are victims who need us. They need people who stay by her side, who listen and support them. Now, please take your mobile phones. I will show you 2 web pages with further information. Save this slide. On Opferhilfe Schweiz, you will find all the addresses of all victim advisory offices and shelters in Switzerland. There are also addresses of centers specializing in children, male and non-binary victims. If you want to help Ben, if you're a friend of Ben, please call one of the phone numbers there for offender counseling. Do the same if you feel that you are exerting too much control or power in your relationship or soon may use violence. The webpage with you provides a lot of information in different languages. If you're wondering how healthy or toxic your relationship is, you could fill out this questionnaire. Don't ignore red flags such as jealousy, signs of controlling behavior, and abuse of power. Even if you're not sure yet if you're experiencing violence, call victim advisory offices. An uneasy feeling is enough to call. All of you can end suffering and possibly save lives. I thank you very much for being future silence breakers. Thank you.